Hello and welcome. So this week has been a bit of a mixed bag. So this vlog is going to be a little bit of a melting pot of different things that have been going on. I have got a pendant that I am creating, so you can see some behind the scenes on that. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Leanne and I'm a metalsmith with a business called Leanne Allison Designs, where I design and create sustainable jewellery for eco-conscious souls. I am going to be making a pendant using this fluorite cabochon. I got it at the Victorian Gem Show back in March and we're now in July. I've finally decided what I want to do with it. It's not a particularly brilliant cut or anything like that. It's just a flat back cabochon in a teardrop or a pear shape, but I was really drawn to it at the show. Obviously there were gemstones everywhere, lots of cabs, all of that sort of thing, and this stood out to me. I don't know why, but it just caught my eye. It was sitting on a table in amongst a ton of other things. It was in a little black box, and yeah, there were other gemstones, cabs, fossils, all sorts of stuff. The table was jam-packed full of stuff, and that caught my eye. So I thought, it obviously is meant to be. I'm meant to take it. It wasn't that I absolutely adored it or anything like that. It just, there was something about it that really drew me in. So it came home with me and it sort of sat for a while. I've looked at it. I wasn't sure what to do. And then I just had this great idea. So I've had some other things that I've been making, and I have some scrap silver. And I thought I might make a pendant wholly out of scraps. I thought at first I might prong set this, but I changed my mind. I want to bezel set it. So the actual bezel walls will be created using new bezel strip, but the back plate will be scrap silver. I want to do maybe some little decorative balls, and I've got some tiny little pieces of bezel wire that I can't use for anything else. So I'm going to turn those into some little balls for decoration. And I've got some chain, some pieces of chain that aren't very long, that I've decided I'm going to put together to make a chain with a little bit of a difference for this pendant. I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to just hang it from a jump ring or if I'm going to make a bail. That will come a bit later. Sometimes I'll draw up a bit of a design. Other times I just don't know, and I wing it based on how I'm feeling or what I'm working with. So it may be that it ends up being an oval backing plate because of the shape and size of the scrap I've got, or whatever it may be. I want to be able to incorporate my horizontal texture that I put on most things, because it's my signature texture, and yeah, I just think it would look great with this particular cabochon. So the pickle pot is on, the heater's on in the studio as well. So yeah, I will go out there shortly and start making. It's quite cold here today in Melbourne. It's very windy and we're going to get some more rain this afternoon. It is winter, so I'm not surprised that is not an issue. But yeah, I don't like being out there when it's really windy because things drop on the roof and they scare the crap out of me. So I think it's time to either put some music on or pop on a podcast and crank it right up so that I can't hear what's going on outside. So I'm going to go off and do some making, and then I'll come back. I will try and video what I'm doing. I am notoriously bad at getting shots of what I'm doing because I get into such a rhythm, I forget that I was going to record. But you want to see what's happening, you want to see what's going on with this pendant, so I will promise to do some videoing. Okay, wish me luck. My goodness, the weather has really whipped up The wind is just blowing a gale. It started raining. I just had to run inside and put my shoes on because I was out here in my slippers, which they keep my feet nice and warm, but I can't get back to the house when I am in my slippers and it's wet out there. So I'm like, okay, go inside, put some shoes on. I made myself a hot chocolate and I brought it back out here, and I've tucked myself back into the studio. The heater's still on, so it's nice and warm, but yeah, it's really changing out there now. So I'm stuck in here for a while, but that's fine. I've got plenty of things I can do. But I am apronless. I can't put my apron on. I have frozen shoulder in my left shoulder, and I can't get my left arm behind my back, which means I can't tie my apron. So I'm just out here in my dodgy wind cheater, which is fine. I was inside in my dodgy wind cheater, but yeah, it's got a bit of silver dust down the front of it. That's fine. I have made the bezel for the pendant, which is great. I then hurt my shoulder because I went to do something, sort of, oh no, and pulled my arm back and pulled it back too far, and because of the nature of my frozen shoulder, when I move it past a certain point, it hurts. So there are a few tears, but we're okay. So now I'm going to sit and have some hot chocolate and look out the window at this weather. It is just crazy. It is winter, so I can't complain, but yeah, it's pretty foul out there at the moment. So yeah, I'm gonna sip my hot chocolate and then I'm gonna get back to work. Okay, so I'm back out here in the studio. You can tell it's the studio because the background is just atrocious. Yeah, clearly still haven't painted. That's fine. We'll get around to it at some point. But yeah, so I'm out here. My hair is a mess because I had to go back into the house for something and the wind caught me on the way back to the studio. So now, this backing plate. The wheels are turning, the cogs are turning, but I don't know what to do. So I've textured it in my signature texture, but when I put the bezel on, there's not a lot of space around the outside. Now I could leave it this awesome wonky shape, but there will be people who just look at it and go, oh, it's not straight, it's wonky and blah, blah, blah. Me, I would be drawn to that. I love the quirky, I love the wonky. I could make it an oval, but then I kind of, yeah, the oval would give me a fair bit at the top and the bottom where the texture is, but sort of nothing at the sides. I could make it a pear shape, teardrop shape, the same as the bezel, but I'm not sure. Look, I could just start again with a fresh piece of silver, but the whole point of this project was to make it using scrap. So thinking cap is on, and yeah, I might have to just do a little bit of fiddling around and yeah, see what I come up with. So that's where we're at the moment. But stay tuned, because hopefully we will get somewhere in the next hour or so. Actually, I might go and make myself a cup of tea, which means going back out into the wind. That's fine, because everything seems to come together when I have a cup of tea. There is clarity. The clouds part and I see things in a different light. So I think it's time to go and put the kettle on. So that pendant that I was making and trying to do it out of scrap materials only, guess what? It's finished. Yay. I'm really, really thrilled with it. So yeah, the aim was to make it just using scrap pieces, and I almost did it. The only new pieces are the 3 oval jump rings and the bezel wire that I've used to set the cabochon. They're new. Everything else is made from scrap or upcycled pieces. So the clasp came from a broken necklace. A friend had given me the necklace to use as scrap, so I salvaged the bits that I could and the rest went into my scrap bucket. The chain is actually from like the ends of bits of chain after I'd cut pieces to make necklaces, and these were the odd bits that were left over. So I joined those using oval jump rings, and I really love it. I think it adds a real point of difference. I think it's just beautiful. Then obviously the jump rings are new. The back plate was a piece of silver that I had, which I'd cut other pieces out around it, and I was left with this kind of weirdly oval shape. So I managed to shape it into a kind of an oval, and yeah, it fitted. So I was really, really pleased with that outcome. And then the little decorative balls came from some bezel strip that I had that was too short for anything else. So I melted it down and turned them into decorative balls. So yeah, I'm really thrilled. I think it looks gorgeous, and yeah, I'm quite proud of myself. It shows that I can make eco-friendly and sustainable jewellery using just scraps. Now, I know that a lot of people use scrap silver because they have the ability to melt it down and to run it through a rolling mill. I don't have a rolling mill at the moment, so this was just a genuine attempt at using pieces of scrap to see what I could come up with, and yeah, I came up with this. So yeah, I am beyond thrilled. I really think it's gorgeous. It will be going up in the Etsy store soon, and if it doesn't sell in there, it will be going to markets with me as well. I'm sure that someone will snap it up very quickly because I think it is absolutely gorgeous. So I did another restock at In.cube8r. If you don't know about In.cube8r, it is a shop in Fitzroy, which is in the northeastern suburbs of Melbourne. And I rent a little glass cube in there. So the place is full of little glass cubes, plus there's racks for clothing and areas for art and things like that. And I rent a cube for my jewellery, and I pay rent each month, and then any sales I make are mine. So I don't pay commission, I just pay my rent, and then at the end of the month, anything that I make is mine, which is awesome. The people up there are really cool. It's quite a funky place, and my jewellery goes quite well up there. So I went and did a restock. On the way up and on the way back, and there were those words that we all dread: rail replacement bus. Thankfully, it was only from Frankston to Carrum, which is 4 stops. But yeah, it just means that it puts a bit of extra time on my trip. it feels like it puts more time on my trip home, but it's probably the exact same amount of time. It just felt, and the bus going back was an express back to Frankston Station, so it probably technically didn't take as long, but I just felt like I spent a lot more time waiting around on my trip home than I did on my trip up. So I did a little bit of filming inside In.cube8r, so you can actually see the cubes and the inside of the store, because I think I filmed my cube before, but I don't think I sort of gave a bit of a shot of inside, so you can see what it's like in there. So here you go. Here is my little trip to In.cube8r.
Maybe I'll do that, yeah.
Now, did you need a 50-cent bag to pop these in?
Yes, that would be great.
Now, I started recording this video back in mid-July, and I thought to myself, okay, I'll have it up by the end of the week and people can start watching it. Things didn't quite go to plan. So I haven't finished filming yet, and it's now almost the end of August. We're at like the 24th. So I thought I better get onto it. I need to finish this video. During that time, I was away for a couple of nights. As you saw, we went to Moama Lights. I've done 3 markets. I've done a restock at In.cube8r, and yeah, I also had a cold. I came down with a nasty cold. I spent a couple of days in bed, and then I was lethargic for a few more. I still have the cough that came with the cold, and it's just niggling and it won't go away. I've just got to ride that out. But I'm hoping I don't manage to cough and splutter through this video, and because I'm determined we are going to finish it. It is going to get finished today. Okay, so for the past 10 months, I've been quite unwell, and it's been a tough road. I had a Shopify site, but I was at that point where the only income I had was the little bit, like the money that I'd made at this market and the bit of money that comes in through In.cube8r once I've paid my rent for the month. So some months there's quite a lot that comes through from there. Other months, you know, it's a bit quiet. So we were in the early part of the year and there was not as much coming in. This meant that I had to make some pretty hard decisions, and one of them was to close my Shopify site. Now, I didn't want to. It broke my heart to do so, but it was 60 Australian dollars a month, and when you have no income or very little income, I was also not able to get onto social media. I was just too unwell. The headaches, it was like a roller coaster. At one point, I had some form of headache for 32 days in a row. Now, when you're not well, social media is one of the last places that you want to be. But also, I just some days didn't have the energy, or I would post things and then I'd be sick for a few days and I wouldn't even be able to make things. So basically, my business had kind of almost ground to a halt. So, yeah, I made the decision that I would close my Shopify site for the time being because I just needed that money to go to other places. And I wasn't able to send traffic there because I wasn't on social media. I was, sending emails to my list, but even then I had to sort of stop doing that for a little while because I had nothing new to say. And I wasn't able to promote my products because I wasn't really able to make anything new. I've got a new problem. I want to reopen my Shopify site, and I'm going to do a couple more markets and get a little bit more of a pot of money behind me because I want to be able to reopen it and have the money to sort of pay the next few months. But I've now got this problem with my mindset. So if you open it, what if you get sick again? What if this happens? What if that happens? And there's all this negative mindset stuff going on. I need to kind of rewire my brain around that. I've been doing a little bit of work on it, but I need to do a lot more because I just, kind of talked myself into thinking that as soon as I reopen it, I'll get sick and I won't be able to do anything. I mean, my aim is to be able to get people on board that can help me, especially in the times where I am unwell. But for the moment, it's just me still running things. So another thing is that I've had a few creativity blocks. Like I've kind of had some ideas, but I wasn't sure how to flesh them out. I just didn't know how I wanted them to really look. And then I was just stuck. Thankfully, I have actually done some training as a creativity coach, so I can coach myself through that and get myself through this period. And it's not just artists or writers that get block. Jewelers, all sorts of other people can too, and I have been experiencing that. I try and just jot down notes if anything comes to mind. I do little scribbles here and there, but I've finally got to the point where I've come up with some ideas and I really like them. So I'll just kind of coach myself through that and get those ideas either properly sketched out or start making them and do a bit of a prototype and see how they come up. So that's kind of all I would say for the month, but we've gone into the next month. So that's kind of all for this month and a half. It has been a bit of a wild ride. A lot has gone on. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so that you get notified when I post new videos. If you can think of anybody else who would like this content, then please share it with them. I would love that. And thank you for joining me. It has been a long month. It has been a really long month because it's kind of gone on like into the next one. So again, thanks for joining me, and I will see you in the next vlog. Bye for now.